mute button on.
Oh.
Check. There we go. My bad.
So for those of you who sat through that 30 seconds of dead air, this is Coffee Before Bed.
I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey. And Coffee Before Bed is...
subjective art.
I guess. I mean, like if you were to consider observational things about, I don't know, what do we observe?
I don't know. All things life.
That's really it.
Yeah.
That's our focus, is the minutiae of life itself.
30 years of podcasting,
Yeah.
which we've only been recording 46 episodes of.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we haven't been doing it at Perkins and Denny's and Village Inn for...
Oh my God, I forgot about Perkins.
Yeah.
What did they have? They had like a cheese thing there.
They had a couple of things. They always made this, like... They had this chicken puff pastry pie that was kind of like a pot pie that was...
Yeah, but it had American cheese in it. Yeah.
I don't remember, but it was the only place where I could get something like that.
You could get a cheese cup with your fries, if I recall.
Could you?
Vaguely. Dude, that's like 20 years ago.
No, well, they actually had an actual bakery there. Right, so...
Oh, shit, yeah, they used to have really good bear claws.
They did,
Yeah.
and they had great muffins and things like that. Yeah.
They had really good Danishes.
If I recall, yeah. So that was the other thing, was they had a bakery, so they would, like... You could get they would ask you, like, toast or muffin.
That's right, yeah.
I think. That sounds really familiar.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing that I remember about their muffins, particularly the blueberry muffins, was it had that like those big chunks of like sugar crystals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shit, man, I don't even know if that place is still there. Like as a building, they might have bulldozed it.
I don't even know if it's still there as a business. I know that I don't think it's out of business, but I think they were scaled back pretty hard. No, I think they still exist in some places.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
All right, this is something that I don't normally recommend that we do research on air, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm curious too. So,
well, they're not only still open, we still have one that we have two.
Where is it?
3295 East Platte, and
ooh, the ghetto. Sorry, you said Platte, so
oh, hold on, 1205 Motor City Drive.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So perhaps they are just reaching out to a different clientele now.
There might be still some of them, because all the Denny's have shut down, right? I think so.
That I know of, but I know that Denny's is not tango-uniform. I know they still exist.
Tango-uniform.
I know they still
Should we
exist.
explain that? It's probably going to come up again at some point.
You either know it or you don't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Tango-uniform. You know it or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not, don't Google that.
It's fine. Just don't Google it at work. It's fine.
Don't Google it at work. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a few places, man. So I was downtown tonight. Fratelli's is still there.
Wow, did you go there?
No, I did. I went to Quinn's. All right. So, but like downtown is a little bit different than it used to be. They do have those like fucking plates all along the curbs that actually prevent you from setting up a fucking camp.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, we're actually like rolling out a bedroll on the curbs and stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
All right.
Yeah. What are those called?
Well, it's like inhospitable.
Yeah.
Architecture or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. The defensive architecture that actually keeps you from like being a bum. You know.
Just call it what it is. It's
Well, yeah, absolutely. I saw one guy down there when I went down there like a year ago. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like, okay, no, you can't like spread out your bedroll on this couch. Or I mean, well, it's not a couch.
It's not.
Yeah,
No,
it's a park bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got spikies on it now.
Yeah, no, it's like when fucking Tony Stark from the Avengers stopped building weapons and said, "I just want to make shit so that homeless people don't sleep here." It's like,
Right, yeah.
like
So anyway, I was on like what is it, Pikes Peak in Tejon. You know, like that middle like
certainly,
yeah thing, and they put up like new statues and shit, but like all the benches there have those spikies on them and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 What do you think about that?
Oh man, yeah, that's not a good question because I'm getting older. You know, and now it's like get a fucking job.
I know.
Yeah.
No, you're right, because like I hate to put it this way, but it's not that I don't understand the problem, but my mind has now gone to, but can you have that problem someplace else?
Right. Yeah, especially in a place here where it's like, well, you can go frame houses, or you know, you can learn how to lay bricks. So obviously, and this like okay, so I listened to a couple podcasts about what's going on in San Francisco and LA.
Yeah.
You know, things like it is a humongous drug problem. So
Humongous,
open air like drug markets and stuff like that. We don't have that here.
No.
So, but like when I see like on KRDO News 13 where they clean out a piece of like Fountain Creek, you know, and kick all those guys over to the Christian, quote, Christian, you know, like, sit up straight, pull up your pants, son, you know, kind of place where, like, okay, you can't do drugs and you can't bring your 14 dogs
Yeah.
into this place, but, like, you can have a hot meal and a good home.
Right.
And where you can get on your feet so
Yeah.
you can actually afford to feed said 14 dogs.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've got less sympathy for that than I used to.
I have considerably less sympathy
Do ya?
for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and everything about that has to do with the completely hypocritical way that we approach it. Right?
Okay. All right. Before you get into that,
Yeah. That's
like the thing that like I have less sympathy for, especially after being a manager for a long time,
certainly.
is okay. So I'm hooked on meth or
Hotel.
opioids or
Sure.
something.
Yeah.
You know, as a manager, I try to deal with that a couple times and ultimately realize like, oh no, you're not prepared to work until you actually fix this shit. You know, it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Nope.
Doesn't mean like you don't deserve help. It just means like, well, you don't get this plus that anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know. That's like kind of where my piece of sympathy starts to fall off. It was like, all right, you're hooked on shit, whatever
Yes.
it might be, and stuff, and you're toting around like 12 dogs, you know? Or even worse in my case, a cat. You know. So, you know, and like, okay, fine, that cat or those dogs will love you to death because you're the best thing that ever happened to them, you know, but you're in a situation where like, no, man, you need to be a better human. Well, not even a better
It's not
human.
even better.
You just need to be like, you just need to hit that level where it's like, okay, it's not all about me. Well, I don't even know if that's fair either. You know,
Well, the problem here, this is you're painting yourself into a corner, and it's not fair to you, and it's
I
not
get
fair to
that,
them.
yeah.
Where this is where the hypocrisy of it really starts to get to me, is because people view homelessness as, they always try to paint it as one of two things. Okay. Much like every other problem that we have in this country, where it's like, no, it's either got to be this thing or this thing, right?
Sure.
Whereas homelessness has a myriad of causes, right?
Sure.
Whereas if you say like, well, I'm sick of this in the street, it's like, oh, you're not sensitive to mental illness? I didn't fucking say that, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about, is to presume that all people, yes, there's a significant portion out there that I understand why they can't work. Okay, they hear 10 different voices and they're all Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so
imagine Bobcat Goldthwait in stereo.
It's not even stereo. This is like 7.2. This is Pro Logic, Jesus. Right? You can hear this from 10 different directions. So yes, I understand that's a problem. But I also know that there are places where the problems are social. The problems are, and it's not. The issue I have is there are a lot of places, like the further left you go, the more of it's like, well, guys, really what the problem is housing is too expensive.
Right.
I say,
fucking move.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Because the issue is then, well, if the housing is too expensive, you have two solutions. A, either find a way to build low-income housing and see if the problem solves itself. It never does. Right? No matter how many
times. It's a SimCity problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you say, all right, then we have to make it inhospitable for them to leave. Right?
Well, yeah, both those are terrible alternatives.
Because in theory, then they would say, then they need to move to another place where the housing is less expensive. Right?
Right.
Because the assumption here is what they're actually looking for is they're traveling to the place with the lowest expensive housing, which doesn't add up.
No,
because
that doesn't add up.
How the fuck would you end up in the Bay Area?
Yeah. No, that doesn't add up.
And then the other side of this is like, yes, there's that grumpy part of you that once you cross a certain age, and I'm not going to say it, but we all know when it is.
40.
Okay? There's a
I'll draw the line there.
All right, that's fine. Where you eventually start saying you've looked at your own history of experiences. You've looked at the things that have been ups and downs, and you have looked at your own personal rock bottoms. And maybe they're not the same as some of these people, but
sure.
You're very much saying to yourself, well, I overcame this by this, this, and this. I would love to have had a helping hand here, here, or here. And if I'd have gotten that, then I'd be on my feet and I'd be a taxpayer, right? Again, presuming that what these people want is to be a taxpayer, right?
Well, I don't know about that, but
you know what I'm saying? It's where
I get that.
It's the whole like rehabilitation thing, that Christian part we talked about. It's like, no. First we praise the Lord, then we eat. Right? That's the sort of like the reconditional boot camp that you're
but that's got to come from within, and I like to see people who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s down there on the street and they've just never crossed that line. Well, maybe they did at some point in time and got punched back down below it. But I don't know, man. After crossing 40 myself, I have much less sympathy for that. And I mean, motherfucker, I used to educate people who are in this, like, spot. I've seen people who are, like, way older than that who are not going to make it, without a hand up. But then I've seen plenty of people who are, like, way beyond that and they just want the hand up. I don't know, man. So...
I don't know what to tell you. Like,
it's a shitty problem. And I mean, it's easy to point at LA and look like, oh, fuck, fucking you and your liberal policies, blah, blah, completely fucked up this community. And that might totally be true. But I look at here at Colorado Springs and exactly what's going on downtown. There is no way voters in this community would not approve another 500 fucking cops to clean all that shit out. If
they were direct about it and they said, this is what we need to do.
They do it all the time. Down in Fountain Creek, they clean those out all the time.
Yeah.
So even Pueblo's gotten a little bit like, I don't know. I'm not going to call it Hitlerish, but
well, okay. So
they're tired of like the community, like that down there in Fountain Creek, setting the fucking town on fire.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so they're like, no, actually, we live in, a community where we need to actually take care of each other and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean, you motherfuckers who are on meth can start like fires and freaking 55-gallon drums and kick it over and burn down the entire fucking creek bed. I don't know, man. So it's kind of wiggy, but like, So I was down there tonight. It's the first time I've been down there in a year. It's much better than it used to be. So at least based upon my like cursory observation. So, but like this is a community here where you're just not going to tolerate that stuff.
We played fast and loose with it before for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we turned off all the street lights.
Yeah. See, this is the thing is, all right. There's this, and sometimes I feel this is actually the correct course of action. Sometimes is there's a lot of times where you have to ask yourself whether meddling will actually make the problem worse. And I think this city meddling.
Oh,
yeah.
meddling. Yeah. Okay.
Meddling. I think there's something that the city does sometimes where it's brilliant. Where, all right, you see a problem starting to emerge. You don't have enough data. All you have is ideas. All right. All you have is ideas and ideologies. You say, all right, look, I know what everybody's saying, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to wait for a minute, and we're going to see if the problem gets worse or if it solves itself. Yeah. Right. And when they saw that it was starting to irritate the crap out of people,
sure,
right, they went to the emergency button behind glass that says, in case of homelessness, embrace Gestapo tactics.
Right, yeah, release the dogs.
Yeah. Because I get it. You never want to do these things lightly. Okay, I get that. But
sure, but if they're going to burn down the creek bed. Yeah.
As soon as you put other people in danger, right? Where it goes from inconvenience to danger is when you hit the Gestapo light tactics, right? Whereas, dude, I don't know again, we've seen this happen. We're on our second cycle of this. You can see this happening in Manhattan right now, right? Where they've said, all right,
fuck this.
We're getting a little bit too close to the old Times Square.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's hire a black guy who's actually gonna like freaking kick ass and take names.
It's like, what was his job? He's a cop.
He was a cop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally, not a chance. They're
yeah, but you don't hear the same stories about New York that you do about like fucking Baltimore or Detroit or Chicago.
Well, there has been some more of that popping up, but it's not the same, right?
No, it's not the same.
Nothing is on Chicago levels, right?
Yeah.
But those guys, unfortunately, they I don't know how to describe it.
Well, they're probably doing a better job than LA on this. I mean, some of that just might be based upon the fact that Chicago is fucking cold as shit during the summer.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I mean, maybe not so much on the crime level, but even like the mayor here today had an article that was like, "Oh my God, crime is spiking," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, but is it really that bad compared to what it used to be? I don't know.
It depends on whether or not that you actually look at the denominator.
Right. Or whether or not you live in 80916.
Well, that's good. I mean, because when you look at the crime statistics, all right, this is crime statistics are, unfortunately, they're in the same place as pit bull child maulings, right?
Right, yeah.
So if you look at the raw numbers, you see that this is a deadly, destructive animal with nothing but hate in its heart.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Well, because they maul more children than all the other dog breeds put together.
Right.
Happens 56 times a year. Something like that.
Right, yeah.
Now, that means that, Kinshasa here, like, the rogue Kinshasa every now and then will get one
child
out of all of them.
Yeah, you got quite a few to pick from.
So if you're asking me how many dogs are around how many children per day, and you have 56, well, yes, they are more inclined to do this than other breeds. How much more inclined?
Yeah, but the amount of interaction that they have with children multiplied by the amount of dogs who are in contact with children. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
Do I want to say it's a problem? Yes and no. I mean, my bigger thing, I would say, this is where I end up on the bad side of Twitter, is you look around and say, all right, well, is there any correlation with communities that tend to own pit bulls? I'm not going into that because...
Oh, no, but we know where you're going with that.
Well, it's a loaded topic, and I'm not going to jump into it right offhand. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you that there are less... less Corgi Pomeranian mixes, right?
Yeah. See, that's interesting. So yesterday, I actually caught up on Jon Stewart's series about the problem with white people.
Did you?
Yeah, and I actually didn't have a problem with most of it until his interview that dropped yesterday.
Why? What did he say?
Well, he didn't say really anything. I mean, he does a really good job of just actually listening to people who have something to say about it and giving them, an opportunity to do so. And so, let me get your take on this one, because this was a thing that I hadn't really thought about for a long time. And this, she was, I guess, a journalist. I don't think she's an academic. But a journalist with the New York Times, and no, it's not the 1619 problem chick.
God.
Oh yeah, no. I've read I've read a lot of historians' responses to that, and they're not happy about it. Maybe some of them are because it helps them get tenure. I don't know.
There's a little bit of you can always go to the argument of, well, at least it starts a discussion, but I don't find that to be academically meaningful.
Okay, I disagree with that. I don't think that it deserves the emphasis that it's been given. But as far as a historical lens, it is an interesting historical lens. So even though it's based upon a lie. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which, several academics have pointed out, is well, actually, these guys were indentured servitude. And, most of them actually, obtained freedom within the next couple of years. But whatever, fuck that. Don't
touch that. We're going to be here for the next hour and a half.
No. I get that. I get where she's going with it and stuff like that. But she's not a historian. Most historians look at that and say, fuck that shit. But that's what historians say about everything. So, all right. Yeah. Historians are like physicists. They're like, you don't know what you're talking about. So I get it. All right. But anyway, all right. So the person that he on yesterday, represented America as an old house. And buying an old house, when you pay for it, it's yours. Okay? It's got fucked up lighting in it and things like that, and shit's not up to code. Okay, fine. All right. But, kind of own it at that point in time.
Sure.
Yeah. And so she was kind of dismissing the historical argument based upon the fact that, okay, bad shit happened a long time ago, all the way up to the 60s, or even now, whatever. Okay. But, this is where we're at now. And so, shouldn't we fix it in some respects? And I don't know what she was really saying by this and what responsibility falls upon whom. So she wasn't very clear about that. But it was also one of these points in time. It's okay, I get that. We all live here now. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's address some of these concerns. Okay. Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm going to sell my house and give you my fucking money, but at the same point in time, it's all right, this is a legit, kind of take on this in some respects, So if there's, bad wiring in your bathroom, you want to fix it. If, your sink doesn't drain, you want to fix that, kind of thing. I don't know. Okay. It was kind of an interesting take on it. And so, I know Jon Stewart's, really far on, some things. But,
but he's trying to come more towards center. That's been his.
Yeah. And so, I actually, even though I disagreed with a lot of what she said, I watched it, and it was an argument that I had to go home. Well, I was home, but I had to turn it off and go watch. Yeah, well, no, I had to, sit back and watch, this guy fucking fuck people up in VR, porn. get my laughs out, but it was also one of those things where I thought about it after a little bit. I was like, actually, that's a really good fucking metaphor, of what's actually going on. So now the question is like, all right, so this is a house that's got 330 million fucking people in it. All right, so who's responsible for what? I don't know. There wasn't a good answer on the episode for that.
Well, the problem is there can't be.
Okay.
There can't be. And let me...
But I think the premise is actually a really interesting thing to think about in some respects, because it's like, oh, okay, well, okay, so how actually do we fix the wiring there, in that bathroom where, like, sparks are, flying all over the floor, and stuff like that. I don't know. So, but it was a good metaphor, regardless. Now, you say it can't be fixed.
Well, okay, so what do you do? Okay, what do you do? This is I'll put this to you, especially in terms of like house repair. Okay. Let's just say that you are having a problem with the lighting. It's not sparks or whatever, but
sure, yeah,
there's something.
Well, yeah, it's not going to burn down your house.
Well, I'm not even talking about in terms of burning down your house, but say, all right, cool. You think there's something wrong with the lighting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've gone through all the steps. You've gone ahead, you changed the bulb, you think you still see something off, right? You can't say what, but there's something wrong with the lighting.
Yeah, it doesn't work the way that you'd like it to.
You'd like it to, right? So you say, all right, well, I'm going to call in the experts, right? So you call in the electricians, they check every inch of line, and they say, dude, there's nothing wrong with this light, right? Then you go ahead and you say, all right, is there anything that could be affecting the line? And you have contractors come out, they tear it out, they rebuild new things. You replace the light, and it's still doing the same thing, right? Here's the problem, is when you get down to the statistics that matter, the ones that are being harped on the most, okay? The problem here is that you're saying that there's something wrong with the light, but the numbers don't support it. Okay? That's my issue, is eventually it comes down to it. It's like, oh shit, we've done everything but go to the optometrist. Okay? And it turns out there's a problem with your eyes.
So it's a question of identification then.
Well, what I can tell you, all right, is I did some pretty serious research on this during the whole BLM thing.
Sure.
Okay? And I'm not going to talk about that organization because the number of arrests that will come out of this, or lawsuits,
or number of houses bought in Orange County. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to dive into that because the proof of exactly what I said is coming completely true.
Yeah.
When you have an organization that has no defined goals, right?
And no defined responsibilities.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was just a place to funnel white guilt, and people did that, right?
Well, and some people did very well off that.
They sure did.
But does that really help people in Ferguson?
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you go down and you say, all right, well then there's an institutional problem with how the police are policing the black community. Well, it turns out there's not. It turns out that the numbers don't support that in any meaningful way.
Well, and if you actually go to those communities and ask folks who aren't engaged in rampant crime, yeah, they want more cops.
They do.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot more cops.
Right. And this is what I'm saying here is if you have a friend that keeps telling you, no, man, it can't be your eyes. It can't be. It has to be the light.
So is this taking into consideration remodeling a house?
Yeah.
Is this you got fucking popcorn ceilings and you just gotta scrape them? I don't know, man. There's nothing wrong structurally with the house. It's just not the way you want it anymore. I don't know.
Or it's not the way. Look, there can be. You and I both know that sometimes, even if your organization is squeaky clean and you can testify to this, you could go to court and say, hey, I was here for this incident. It didn't happen the way that people said.
Yeah,
right?
Everything's above board.
Everything's above board, But depending on how your company handles it, it can look shady.
Yeah, it can look very shady.
So if what we're talking about is the appearance of shady, then that's something that you can address. But if you're going to sit there and tell people and insist and change your curriculum and do all this to say that this nation is doing this, it is a busted house, when it has... Look, well, here, I'm going to point this out to you, okay? This is as big of evidence as I can give you, okay? So, post-polling, okay, now that the information has come out, what percentage of people said they would have voted differently if the information of Hunter Biden's laptop was actually confirmed to be real as it is?
I don't know the answer.
16%.
Would that have actually flipped the election?
Yes. Now, what I can tell you is...
I'd question that.
Look, I'm going to say that because you could sit there and say, like, all right, well, if you flip 15% in fucking San Francisco, you still lose. But it's not...
I'd question
But this was basically polling data, so use it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that...
And there might be a little bit of, like, buyer's remorse going on there.
Of course. So... take some of that with a grain of salt, but what I have to assume is at least some people would have, right? What the number is, don't know. Okay, but if they're to be answering somewhat honestly, okay, let me cut it in half. 8%. That's a significant difference, and that all came down to how it was presented in the media. And so, if your media keeps telling you you're racist, you're racist, you're racist, you're racist, okay, then people are going to believe that.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have gotten wise to that over the last couple of years. And I don't know, man. I mean, so like, I guess you're subsuming that there'd be a different outcome on something like that.
No, what I'm
just based upon like, okay, so like one of the better podcasts that I listened to, this guy actually made a really good point the other day. It's like the network doesn't program the audience programs the network. And so, you know, fundamentally, like regardless of what kind of news you're receiving from whoever you get your news from, they're going to cater to like whatever actually keeps them relevant. You know, which is based upon like how many people read that, how many people watch that, how many people look at that, you know. And so like actually taking something like, you know, Hunter Biden's laptop, you're not going to convince any people who are on the fence one way or the other, because there's just not that many people on the fence about it.
Yeah, but that's the problem. That's the exact problem that you talked about. Right.
Well, so, I mean, those people like bleed over in the portion of people who don't fucking vote because they don't know what to make of it.
Well, this is what I'm saying here is if you're talking about the establishment places of, you know, Confirmation News Network. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
You're watching that.
Confirmation News. Is that CNN?
That's it. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know anybody who watches CNN anymore. I don't know anybody except for my mom who watches Fox News, and she's on FSN now more so than she actually is the network. You know?
Well, it's pretty dismal, but basically it's. I don't think people watch it. I think people cite it.
Okay.
But to make my point here, right, is. The problem with the basic principle, okay, because what you're doing is you're essentially going back to the old principle of if it bleeds, it leads, right? You want to generate eyeballs and you want to generate clicks. That's the problem.
That's how you make revenue.
That's the thing, though. You don't make revenue, right, by not sensationalizing stories. If the Hunter Biden thing is real, okay, it doesn't matter what side of the partisan bridge you're on. You can tilt things a certain way, a little bit, but you want to make a big deal out of it because that's news.
Well, and that drives revenue.
Right?
Yeah.
But denying that it exists calling this Russian disinformation, which they did. I can give you a million.
Oh, I know. No, I know all about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And this is my whole point. Isn't just to say. This all ties back to like the racism angle. Okay. I'm just giving you an example of something that was purposefully misrepresented.
Sure.
Okay. To the point of it actually impacting.
See, the causality between purposely representing or misrepresenting data or facts, I don't see how that actually convinced too many people one way or the other.
Well, that's the thing is, you and I know that elections are actually moved by very small numbers in very small places.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
It doesn't take that many people, because you and I can't put ourselves in the perspective of guy in Wisconsin who is like happily, well, I don't know, I could vote for either guy, right?
I don't know what to do, sir.
Right? We can't
tell me, CNN.
We can't be that guy, because you and I are just inherently skeptical, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can't be that guy. But that dude has probably, if I'm to guess, that dude is probably not that politically plugged in. He's probably...
No, but see, I would say that, like, that guy who's not politically plugged in, and unfortunately I'm a little bit more plugged in than I'd like to be.
Yeah, I know.
I'd like to actually be a little bit naive about certain things. Unfortunately, like, Google doesn't let me do that. So,
no, unfortunately not.
You know, but, like, all right, so in all fairness, in the last, like, 8 years, even going back to Obama's second election with Mittens, was actually turning out to be a pretty solid dude in some respects.
Mr. Romney?
Mr. Romney. Yeah. Well, he's a Mormon, so he's ensconced in the Utah spaceship now.
I know where he's ensconced.
Yeah, you know. But even looking back at that, I can't think of anybody who actually flipped their mind on this stuff. You know?
But somebody had to.
I guess. Either that or what it was. All right, so it's not so much flipping somebody's mind. It's about getting enough people who actually agree with you to show up. More so than anything else. And that's totally what happened with Trump in 2016. Bunch of people were like, fuck everything, fuck it.
That's what I'm starting to think the quote unquote undecided voter is.
Yeah, you might be right.
Are you number one, are you a person that is willing to spite vote? And number two, there's
a lot of spite vote.
Has your person I'm not talking about done enough for you, but pissed you off enough.
Correct.
That you're willing to protest vote. And I'm starting to think that that's what the undecided voter is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Right? Because how could you get polling so incorrect last time, not this last election, but the previous election, if there wasn't a whole lot of, when I'm going to the booth, fuck you, Trump.
There's been a lot of analysis on that. And so basically the pollers... 529 in particular, were actually pulling from things that worked in 2012. Which, I mean, like, that's kind of like, okay, there's a hurricane coming to South Carolina. It hit North Carolina. You got it close enough. So let's check it again, and then all of a sudden it blasts through fucking Boston. Yeah. So you can't use previous data and like pull that again. I don't know though, man. I haven't really talked about it too much, but like, I thought Barack Obama did a pretty good job as president. You know, I was happy voting for him twice. You know, I get it. Yeah. Fucked up Yemen, Benghazi, whatever. You know, I mean, that's the CIA state. It does that. Their CIA is really shitty. You think about it. They're very bad at doing things like this. They just think they're good at it because they all went to Yale. So, but like, you know, I mean, I just like the stability of that in some respects. And, maybe that's a bad call. But I mean, I look back on George W. Bush in the same respect, in some respects. Was I happy with him in 2004 when he came up again? No. Did I vote for him? Yeah. So, but like, now I look at him, he paints little pictures of dogs and shit.
Right.
It's I kind of like the guy.
No, it's hard for me to. There's a point where you start to think about whether or not the person was, functionally evil, right? So
I don't think he was functionally evil.
Like the more the time passes, for as much as I seemingly approved of what he appeared to be doing during his tenure,
sure,
right? With every passing day, I'm more and more convinced that Bill Clinton and his wife are actually evil people.
They're very in line with Donald Trump.
Well, I find them very morally suspect.
Me.
Well, there's that, but there's also, look, I had the misfortune of transcribing actually some puff pieces that contained Hillary Clinton, right? And again, this sort of confirms the thing that I hate most about the white liberal side addressing minorities, because this was talking about like a prison program that had to do with minorities.
Well, they just use them for their own ends.
Oh, no, it's not just that.
Yeah.
Okay? It is, I hate it when they talk to and about minorities like they are a separate species of animal.
Yeah.
And when she's talking to these people the whole time, she is talking to this guy who
what
has...
What can you do for me?
Well, she's talking to this guy who's created prison rehabilitation programs via like shop and like construction work in the system. And he's using this as like a valuable trade, everything. So it's clear that he's got his business head on his shoulders, right?
Okay.
But she keeps talking to him like he is 81 IQ and just
he's like 4 years
functionally
old,
retarded. Okay, the whole time. Well, that's just great. Yeah. Look at what you've done here.
On the head.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is the most insulting shit on the planet, because
I don't think George W. Bush would do that to anybody.
No, if that's how he was talking to you, okay, you have just as good a chance of being 4 or 84.
Yeah. You're doing such a good job as president. Good for you.
I know.
And did you put your PJs on yourself?
I know. I imagine that's how a lot of his staff talk to him. That's fine. But, and I'm sure he bragged about the stupidest shit where he's just kind of like, did you know that if you write the company and complain, they'll send you like 5 free Clark bars, right?
I can kind of see Barack Obama doing the same thing. You can save 15% on your car insurance. If you just call these folks.
He's like an extreme couponer. Like, yeah, so that's the part of this where I started to realize this is exactly
extreme couponer.
You know what I'm talking about. There's that part where I hate that. I hate that whole... There are 2 versions of this where racism really pisses me off. Number one is the overt right side, which is, I don't want to go in that pool. A black person's been in it. Yep, that's racism I don't like. Then there's the other side of it where that's a home loan. That's a first for your family. Aren't you proud of yourself?
Yeah.
Aren't you so proud?
You pulled yourself out of strips. Yeah.
Think of all you had to overcome. And the guy's just sitting there saying like, yeah, so I went to the bank and they asked me to fill out this paperwork. I did.
Yeah.
And then
got a job. Yeah.
Within 2 to 3 business days, they said, sir, can you also provide this? So I did.
Yeah.
And
did you file your taxes last year, yes, sir? Yeah.
And then the whole side of like, that's so hard to do with institutional racism, right? I can't stand that shit.
That's just as dismissive.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But no matter whether that comes in,
you know who hates that the most?
Blacks.
Anybody who's actually
anybody who's in minority status who is treated
in minority status is like, no, motherfucker, I've been working this job for the last 5 years. I actually like did the things.
Right.
Yeah. And why is this a problem? You know, at this point in time, why are you drawing attention to this?
There's that. Now, I'll never fault anybody for looking at it and saying like, oh, well, you guys made this special program for me, so what am I supposed to do? Leave the money on the table?
Yeah, I was absolutely take advantage of it, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's not a... It's the politicians who are saying like, oh, you need this.
Right.
Right? And look, some people
it's not even need this. It's like, well, you deserve this.
Or, well, no, you won't succeed without this.
Oh,
this is where the fucking faulty wiring, broken house metaphor falls apart for me. Is is somebody that keeps telling you, no, see that? You think that light's broken. Okay? You think that light's broken.
It's working just fine, man.
Because you say like, you know where those lights are brighter? They say, where? Jeff Bezos' house?
Jeff Bezos, yeah. Well, they might be.
And that's the question is, does that mean that the light is broken? No, because...
Right.
That's
actually a really good way to think about that metaphor. That's the problem,
yeah.
I mean, the metaphor still has the legitimacy behind it.
Of course. And I'm not saying everything's perfect, but
of course, yeah.
That's my issue with it is it actually broken? Well, if I look at the diagnostics, if I actually wheel out the crash cart to your car, all right, and I put the little thing in the exhaust, and I let it run for 20 minutes, I say, give it a little gas, right? And like numbers come out, okay? I give you the numbers and I say, all right, well, so here are these numbers going in, okay? These are fine. Unfortunately, here are the incarceration numbers. These are not fine.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody stole your catalytic converter.
Right. So I can look at this and say, well, fucking A. If the base numbers, okay, the left side of the equation numbers are fine, then how the fuck do they end up all screwed up over here? Like, are we dividing? Are we what's the problem?
Right. Right. Are we amplifying the issue?
Right.
In order to sell you a new catalytic converter.
Pretty much. And so that's what I'm like, is the house broken? Doesn't look like it.
No.
Doesn't look like it. Are there things that we could be doing differently? Yeah, I suppose so. But a lot of that is like, I have to stop treating you people like you are functionally retarded.
Yeah.
You know where this manifests?
China.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the way that I always bring this up is when people think kids are stupid and they think kids can't figure out, well, if I give you this much leeway because I feel sorry for you, they always take advantage of it.
Because kids are smart.
Right? Yeah. They say, well, if I keep it, look, that's very simple pattern recognition.
Yeah. If I keep banging this drum, and if it keeps pumping out candy for me, no, I understand. There are a few issues in education that piss me off as much as that, where we actually don't recognize the intelligence of most human beings.
God,
I see it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what's a really good thing that I've actually experienced in my university?
What's that?
Is I get very few of those accommodation reports anymore. Used to get them all the time.
Fantastic.
Especially at the community college. It was like, well, so-and-so needs help with this, and this, and this. And you know what? I just designed the curriculum that I teach to the point in time. It's like, I don't care. It's fine.
It's baked in.
Do your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Everybody gets it.
You're not going to turn it in next week? That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that guy gets it too. So, kind of thing. And holy shit, do people rise to the occasion when you realize that you're not going to get babied? You're not going to get pampered based upon these things. And it's like, actually, it's not that hard. You know, you just do the things. You're fine. You know?
You know, it's amazing. You, as a discretionary human, you can also size up the person and find out when they're actually, oh, this guy...
Yeah.
Talk to me after class.
Talk to me after
tell you
class.
What, let me work with you on something like this. Mm-hmm. Right? As a discretionary human being, you can determine that.
I can make those own calls. Yeah. But if you set up, like, just the way that your class goes and things like that, you don't have to worry about that shit. You know, and people come in all stressed out about that stuff. It's like, well, I need, like, 2 extra hours on the test. It's like, bro, there's no tests here. Just do your shit. You know? So, well, I need more time. It's like, you have unlimited time, just like everybody else. It's cool. Right. You know, just do it. It's no worries, you know? So, I'm not going to judge you.
No, I don't judge any of them. It's due when it's
due when you get it done. You know? So, it's really simple, man. And so, like, I've been engaging with a couple of podcasts that I'm starting to, like, seriously disagree with them on the whole victimization kind of thing lately, because it's like, all right, I'm not a huge Dave Ramsey fan, all right? I don't think debt is a sin, all right? But if you work a $15 an hour job and you buy a $2,000 car and you save it up enough money, you can buy a house. If you put a little bit in your 401k, you can retire when you're 55, just like everybody else. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter where you came from. So if you show up on time, do whatever your boss tells you to do, as long as it's not, like, illegal. You know? And if you get to the point in time where your boss is telling you to show up at 9 o'clock at night and you say, fuck you, I got a job over here that I can go take that job.
Or, you know, if he does ask you to do something illegal, write it down. Take a picture. Yeah. Okay.
Take a picture. Record it on your phone if it's a single party state. And you'll be just fine, man.
And if you have evidence of that, then, hey, that's all right. I can go to this thing we used to have called a phone book. You use the internet now.
Yeah.
Right?
You can look up the labor board.
It is dense with people who are going to look at that and see what compensatory values they can get you for making you do something illegal.
Absolutely.
And I encourage you to do that, because people should have their dicks slapped for doing this kind of bullshit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. No, there's been all this shit over the internet the last week about Amazon and unions and stuff, and
that's fine.
I guess, man, but, like, workers are fucking smarter than that, man. You're not going to show up to a job and work 10 years just to get day shift anymore. Fuck that shit. So, so why the fuck would I want to be a part of a union where, like, I can go out there and kick ass and take names and work my way up the system, jump over to a different company and do the same thing? You know, but really when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, well, I signed up on January 1st. You signed up on January 3rd. So you get day shift and I don't. Fuck that. So,
hey, man, look, what I don't know, and again, this could be something that I don't know. This could happen in the future. Obviously, I'm going to make the argument that Amazon's not going to go anywhere.
Absolutely not, man.
I would argue that, you know, at this point, they've become like the fifth state of matter. It's like liquid, solid, gas, plasma, and Amazon.
Yeah.
So
shit just shows up at your door.
Yeah. So at this point, what I don't know is, again, you can take a look at other industries that have become staples over time that do have, like, unionization, and that's the job where, okay, I got kissed into Amazon, right? So I'm expecting to be there for a long time. They're going to be there. They're not going to get TWA'd, right?
Right.
There's no fucking way that's going to happen.
It might, but, you know, like, it's totally different. So when my pop signed up for that company in 1962, you know, everybody assumed it would be around forever.
You're right.
Time, you do your thing, you do your 8 to 5s and things like that. I can't think of anybody in my circle, with maybe a couple rare exceptions who'd actually be okay doing the same career for 30 fucking years anymore. Where back then, that's what you did. You got on with a good company and you were set.
You stayed.
Yeah.
No, maybe if through union representation and expansion that it becomes just one of those sought after jobs and you want to stay there and you want to play the game because you're guaranteed of this, right?
Yeah, but then they're not going to email me notices every weekend about how we have new openings. That's totally different, man.
I get it.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about things that could theoretically change because of unionization,
it might.
Now, am I going to sit there and, if you're going to ask me, like, Jeff, what number do you have to roll on a 20-sided die for this to happen?
Right.
Roll
me a 19 or above.
Yeah, you got to roll me a natural 20. Yeah. So, that's fine. Okay, I got it. I understand the odds are against it, but it is definitely not out of the realm of possibilities, especially with the way the economy has changed, the way that the labor force is changing.
Yeah. So there's a guy that I listened to actually talking about this a little bit. He's really interesting. He's a Silicon Valley guy. He's kind of like a critic of that whole lifestyle and stuff like that. And AI, he's one of these guys who says like AI is bullshit. It's basically just an algorithm. So it's just math, so you're never going to have a robot dog who loves you. So it's just going to be programmed to, respond to your stimuli.
Correct.
But anyway, whatever. So, but he actually brings up a really good point about this. It's like, the whole division between capital and labor is obsolete. It's like most people will do a little bit of both. Some people, and these are the people who are going to miss out, in the long run, or who are trying to unionize Starbucks, would like to consign themselves to just labor,
Sure.
Which is fine, on a certain level, but you can't expect too much of that. And then there's going to be other people out there, Bitcoiners and whatnot, and we just see themselves as fake capitalists, down the road.
Yeah.
But most people will actually have a combination of both, down the road. And so the whole division, where okay, so you're working class, quote, quote, kind of thing, is probably not going to be true in the future.
They're already trying to subdivide that.
Absolutely.
You've heard that, right?
Yeah.
What is working class versus laptop class?
Right, yeah. I've heard laptop class. Yeah.
People of the laptop class don't like not being called working class.
No, and they don't like showing up at work every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, so because they don't have to. You can make just as much money out there with your laptop or whatever.
Well, okay, so this is the part that does make me laugh is these are the people who are like, look, I work just as hard writing my BuzzFeed articles as anybody swinging any hammer.
Yeah, I got my Business Insider article in.
And they're like, don't say that I'm not working class. I'm like, you're not.
You're not. No, not even close.
You're not. Have you had to actually do the math and say, well, the cost of 1,200 paper bags to bring my lunch to work in will eventually pay for itself if I actually buy a lunch box.
Yeah,
it pays off within 3 years. So
I make my own coffee every morning. Yeah, I put an entire fucking pot of coffee into my thermos. So my Coleman thermos every day. Yeah.
You have to be working class. You have to be around people and be like, your reaction is like, cigarette's gross, right? Yeah, even if you don't smoke, you're used to the smell of it, right? That's
See, the funny thing is, most of those quote unquote working class jobs are starting to actually pay more than a laptop class job.
Absolutely.
If you're a roofer, you know how to roof.
Yeah.
You're fine. You work your ass off, and you've got a $60,000 dually truck. No problem.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Same thing goes with if I have to call somebody and say, I don't know how to fix this U-trap.
Yeah.
Those guys are
come
fine.
in and charge you $200 an hour, in 15-minute increments. Yeah.
So these jobs that your average fucking YouTube internet critic isn't willing to do.
Correct.
Right? Those are
Twitterati.
The Twitterati, yes. These are the ones that this
We're gonna be YouTube famous someday. So
yeah, okay. So basically, let me put it this way. If you are currently on Patreon welfare, you are not working class.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you just have enough assets under your belt to the point in time where you can actually, like, pay your Costco bills to the tune of $500 a month.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm trying to say here is I'm not looking down on this and saying like, oh, you guys aren't real workers. I'm like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying here is appreciate what you have. Don't pretend to be something that you're not.
Don't represent something that you're not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because what people are really good at doing is sniffing out fakes.
Oh, I've gotten so good at that. Gotten so good at that. All right, so there's two ways we can take this conversation here, man. So speaking of sniffing out fakes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's either talk about like Elon Musk and the Twitterati.
Okay.
Or what the fuck is going on in China right now? Because both those are fake as shit.
Jesus Christ. Well, dude, I can't believe 26 million people are under lockdown.
So you want to take it to China, correct?
No. I'll hold on to that. Okay. You mentioned this.
Did you watch the thing yesterday by ADV?
The emergency one?
Jesus.
That's terrifying.
They're beating people's, like, animals and separating them from their children.
Did you see the sacks of live cats that they
that made me...
I was furious.
That made my blood fucking boil yesterday.
Yeah.
So, especially after they left the sound on. Dude, my cats were going bananas listening to that.
It was just... It was the fact that I knew what was going to happen to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, suppose that you actually had benevolent lunatics that were actually like, no, that's fine. No, because, look.
What are benevolent lunatics?
So there's this side of, like...
Twitter?
No, okay, like... So I know that you know some of this shit. I know that you're aware of some of the wackier things they came up with in World War II, right?
Sure.
Where they were talking about the projects to try to get dogs to talk or
like run bombs under German tanks. Yeah.
There's a part of that where it's so wacky, where you're like, well, if Hitler wasn't actually killing people, he'd be a pretty wacky guy.
Oh, right? Yeah, sure. I played Wolfenstein.
Well, when the reports say that they got a German Shepherd to say, I want cake, right? That's bloody hilarious. You're wasting money on this, but you can only do that because you're wacky enough to say this could work, right?
Right.
Because if you're not in that thing, you say, you fucking wasted my money on talking dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Buy one more MP40, get a guy to hold it.
Shoots the allies.
Right.
Shoots them.
You have to devote, like, all these resources, all this shit. Say, like, teach the dogs to talk because I want them to hold positions instead of...
Where are you going with this?
Okay, but...
Yeah.
If you took all those cats and you were benevolent and you were like, no, we're going to house them in the Kitty Hotel for your safety. You will get them back. We're going to take care of them. We just right now have to rehome them here for safety's sake.
Yeah.
If I knew everybody was getting their kitty cat back, that's fine. I still don't like it, but at least that's not...
Got it.
We are rounding up your pets to exterminate them.
To beat them with sticks in the street. That is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is... And look, I'm going to put this to you at this point. All right? Cultural differences or not. You are at the point where there are 26 million of you being treated like this.
Yeah.
It may be time to say, you guys gotta go.
Yeah. Well,
it's to the point where I have to say, as a people, you are now you have been pushed so far that you're acting irresponsibly to let your leadership maintain its power.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, these are pets. And so these are, like, cultural differences aside, these are animals that people took in. And I mean, that's not even, like, thinking about the children.
Correct.
Holy shit, that's even worse, man.
I understand.
Yeah, that's even worse. You see those, like, you know, fucking wheelie hospital beds that are full, like, 6, 7 infants, you know? And I mean, I watched that one yesterday and I was fucking mad.
Just terrified. Yeah, I was
mad.
Yeah.
After watching that.
Yeah.
And so, like, even today, so what was it? Mark Blythe's, like, Watson Institute came out with a video that was all about, like, oh, how China conquered fucking pollution through authoritarianism. I was like, I'm getting a little bit upset by seeing, like, some of the shit that comes out nowadays, where it's like, oh, actually, these guys are doing a good job. It's like, no, motherfucker, do they want you? Okay, so do you want your dog taken out and beaten in the street because you tested positive for COVID? You know, all right, so this is the same government that's doing the same thing. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, no, man, okay, I cannot condone, like, any kind of, like, positive thing that comes out of there anymore, just because, like, it's almost like saying, like, okay, so Hitler's Germany actually fixed, you know, the fucking bubonic plague, but they didn't. They just lied about it. Okay, so, oh, well, they adopted nuclear power. You know, well, no, they didn't. So, in fact, they had to buy more coal. So
they have to buy more coal now.
Yeah, they have to buy more coal now. And so you guys are just, like, slurping the fucking media up on this one.
When you guys should know better.
You should absolutely know better. It takes a minimum amount of research to actually, like, poke into this and realize that it's complete fucking horseshit what's going on over there. And, I mean, like, the whole thing with the, you know, the mothers and stuff like that, it was like, these are fucking people. You know, they
absolutely are.
They absolutely have the same, like, you know, like, base level emotions and stuff like that. It was like, dude, I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, all right, so, like, here in Colorado Springs, if the CSPD was told to go out there and beat people's dogs to death, they would fucking revolt.
Well, I mean, you're asking me that specific question. If they came to me and they said, this dog's got to go,
they would never do it.
Well,
they would never do it.
You're talking about the incident where I don't know how it plays out. I don't know if anybody goes down with me.
Sure.
But they're either putting me down or they have that video of me, like, being shoved in the cop car going, right? You know, they're trying to just push my head in, but I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Right?
But see, like, my point on that is, like, if you ask any police force, even the most corrupt Roscoe P. Coltrane police force in the United States to do that, they'd tell you to fuck the fuck off. So they wouldn't do it, you know? And so the fact that you got these red shirts in China.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying, man.
Yeah.
Who are absolutely like, oh, okay, yeah. We get to go be bullies again, you know? So
that's positively Bronchers. It's positively it's Roman before that. Yeah, the
even the Romans wouldn't do that.
No, but they did have volunteers that would go up there and whoop some ass because
gangs, you know. I mean, but you know, like, at least they had competing ones. You don't have one that's acting completely in concert.
No, but for example, you know about the famous incident with the where they were low on security. So back in the day, they hired the Hells Angels to do security at a concert.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened? They beat the crap out of people.
Yeah.
Because when you hire thugs or deputize, quote unquote,
you deputize thugs, you get thugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, we're both horrified. Look,
nobody in this town would do that.
No, of course not.
Yeah, no.
Of course not.
So it's just like horrifying, you know, and especially like separating like breastfeeding children from their mothers, you know, because somebody tested positive. And did you see them like jab that kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was just like, Everybody who bitches about America, you don't know.
It's not just
you do not know.
Not just that you don't know, but again, look, there's a couple of things that I've learned. This goes back to the Russia-Ukraine situation.
Sure.
All right. These are two quote unquote powerful nations, right? And I'm starting to realize you guys are the two biggest fraudulent actors on the stage, because if you guys had your shit together in any way, shape, or form, you're not locking down 26 million people. You're not beating people's pets to death.
So who's the other fraudulent? Russia?
Russia.
Well, all right. So I think Russia's really different. Russia's a dude. So China, like, you've got guys who are willing to put on the red Walmart vest.
Yeah.
And go out there. I don't think anybody in Russia would actually do that.
They would.
So,
they would, because
it would be a minority.
Here's the thing: is the people that would be willing to put them on are 55.
They still got red medals.
There are a lot of. That's one of the. Look, when I don't want to say that I fully researched this, but I did ask a lot of questions. I did look at a lot of things, because I was like, why the fuck do people like this guy? Right?
Oh, Putin?
Yeah, and what it comes down to is that dude economically cleaned up Yeltsin's disastrous mess.
Yeah, well, that was 25 years ago.
But he's been in power ever since.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I get that.
Look, I don't want to...
I want to know what actually happened to all the 10, 20, 40, 100,000 people who got arrested for actually protesting. They're not going to get shot. You know,
but they're going to have some stories to tell.
They're definitely going to have some stories to tell, but they're not going to get disappeared like the people in China do.
No.
So, you know, like, and so I've done a little bit on that, like, not so much on the personal level like you have with your Ukrainian students and things like that, but just kind of look at it as like, so Russia's only out is through India and China. India's actually playing it pretty cool. I get that.
They're fence sitting.
They're fence sitting, and I actually kind of respect that a little bit, just in terms of like the overall where they're at. If they get
geography,
if they get isolated, they are on their own, and I get that, man. And I get that.
Can you trade with just to the west of you?
Oh, right, yeah. We cannot send that many tankers to fucking Diego Garcia, you know. And so Europe is actually doing a pretty good job of sticking Putin with the middle finger on this
as
one.
best as they can without escalating. Yeah,
dude, the Germans have agreed to actually like up their military spending by 2%, which means that in 4 years they're gonna have the third largest fucking military in the world.
It's insane.
That's fucking terrifying, man. You know what happens when you give Germans like uniforms and guns? They like it.
Well, what you're talking about is, so there are dudes that drink.
Have you ever watched them march?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a sight to behold.
It is. It just depends on whether you're German or whether you're somebody else.
They're probably going to bring the Stahl helmet back.
But okay, so the thing with Germany, and I don't want to say Japan because they haven't had the chance.
They want nuclear weapons again, man. That's crazy.
See, this is the thing.
They're going to make their own Gojira.
So, well, the funny thing is that was about us, but
that's true.
But we're going to do it right this time.
We're going to do it right, yeah. It's going to have lasers. And extra rockets.
You got that guy who drank really hard all through his 20s, right? Missed a few days of work, maybe had a relationship breakup, right?
Who's this?
This is a hypothetical drinker, right?
Okay.
And what he learns in his early 30s is he's like, man, I partied pretty hard. You know what? But that guy says, you know what? Time and place. Okay?
Sure, yeah.
I can have a drink on the weekends. Oh, you know, it's my daughter's birthday. Then you have that other class
Maybe
of like,
work on Monday.
right. Then you have that other class where it's like he drank really hard through his 20s into his 30s, and he looks at you and he says, you look at him and you say, you want to have a drink? And the guy says, no, never again.
Right.
You say, why? He said, because if I have one drink, I'm an alcoholic again.
Right.
And some nations can have a drink on the weekends. Some nations
start having dreams about the Kaiser.
And Germany has enough of an addictive history for me to say that you guys, every time that you feel like you should have a drink, go parasailing or go to the gym, or you need to have some activity that replaces drinking, right?
Yeah.
You know, whatever that is. Other nations, okay, we have a history of like leadership that comes and goes that's a little bit weird, where it's like, all right, all war all the time. Well, we're sick of that dude. He's out. And so are his cronies.
No more war.
And then you have dudes that come in and say, like, no war ever again. Right? So we kind of oscillate with
all
that.
These muscles, man.
We do. Right?
Gotta
so
go punch somebody every now and then.
that's the thing. That's the benefit and the hazard of being a weekend drinker. That's fine.
Right.
Okay. The hazard is, that dude sometimes goes a little bit too far. Misses work on Monday.
It happens.
Very close to being a no-call, no-show, but he ends up calling it like noon, so...
Right, yeah, just enough to cover his ass. Yeah.
Right, so...
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's all right. America will be here tomorrow.
Yeah. And everybody's just like, what happened to America? It's like, dude, it's July 4th. It's like...
Oh, got it.
Yeah, he does that.
Super Bowl Sunday.
He does that, yeah. We should have known. We should have known. Does he have a problem? Nah, he's good most of the time, but
he's a good dude. He'll show up when you've got a flat tire.
But then he doesn't know how to change it, but he brings money.
Yeah, he brings money.
All right, but tell you what, why don't we quick Twitter this up? You had questions. We'll do the quick version of this.
So, all right, we'll see what's going on in the international scene next week.
Okay.
So Twitter. So apparently Elon Musk is on their board now.
Yes.
All right. So let me lay out my reservations about this.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, I don't think Twitter's as important as people think it is. All right. So it's become kind of an isolated kind of thing. It's the PvP server thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So most of the people who are on Twitter are chuds, or they're like fucking, journalists who don't actually want to read the news every day. And so they just take a quick take, barf it out there and stuff like that. The fact that Donald Trump got kicked off Twitter, I don't see it as really that big of a fucking deal, because quite honestly, I think it actually delegitimized a lot of the platform. So when they did that. All right. Now, regardless of that, his fucking own Twitter, whatever it is completely busted.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you start your own Twitter, all right,
with blackjack and hookers, yes.
With blackjack and hookers, all you get there is blackjack and hookers. And then it attracts a little bit different crowd.
If that's what you want, you got it.
All right, so my problem with Elon Musk actually fucking with Twitter is the fact that Elon Musk keeps fucking with my investments.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and I don't think the guy can help himself anymore. So I don't think he can actually control his own impulses. I think so. I've heard really good analyses on the three people who should not be on Twitter is Donald Trump, so he's not anymore. Okay, all right. So they booted him off because it's completely just self-reinforcing for him and blah 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 and stuff like that. He just needs to know immediately how people feel about him. So the next one is Kanye West. They should boot his ass off too. All right, because he can't help himself either. That whole thing that he was doing with Kim Kardashian the last few weeks, fucking horseshit. So he just has to actually air out his own laundry out there, and whatever. I mean, theoretically, he could be charged with domestic abuse over that. I get it. Yeah, no, it's kind of, All right, and the last guy is Elon Musk, who cannot help himself, but actually put out every fucking opinion that he has to the entire public. All right, and so now that he's actually on the board of Twitter, all right, I'm I'm just waiting for the SEC to actually shut them down on this one. They might, and I don't. Someone's gonna have to make a really good argument to me that, regardless of his like First Amendment rights and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if you're gonna go out there and if you're gonna actually fuck with people's investments,
yes,
the way that he does. Where he doesn't care. He's the world's richest goddamn man. Mm-hmm. All right. So stop talking about certain things because you're literally destroying other people's dreams or making people millionaires overnight, based upon whether or not they're following me on Twitter. This is fucking horseshit. All right. And so shut the fuck up. All right. If you want to get on the board of Twitter and actually guarantee, like, okay, so there's like some semblance here, we're not going to ban people and stuff like that, that's fine. Okay, cool. You, sir, though, shut the fuck up. Take that power that you have and actually be responsible with it. So, but he's much more interested in what other people think about him. And, I don't know, man. I'm just not happy about him. Like actually capturing this thing. Personally, I think they should fucking delete Twitter and let everybody go off to their Donald Trump or, MSNBC camps and whatever, and not have some kind of like centralized thing where all the journalists are concentrated. In fact, those guys should break up too, and so him actually getting on Twitter gives the platform a little bit more legitimacy than it had a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm not happy about that. Because I don't think we should have like some kind of fucking centralized, like, public forum like that. I think people should be able to elect into those things wherever they want to go, regardless, because that actually fosters better debate between platforms rather than actually have it all on the same one. So that's my beef, because he could turn around and say like, oh, Dogecoin is awesome tomorrow and it'll go up like fucking, 10 cents, make a bunch of millionaires, and then, people out there will sell it the next day and wipe out a bunch of people who didn't see that till the following day. Man, fuck you, dude. So, like not everybody has the privilege that you do in order to actually be able to leverage something like this. So, stop getting people to actually rally around your flag just to pull the rug out from underneath them, the next day. I don't know, man.
No, I can see what you're saying.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's not a concisely like articulated bitch that I have, but I don't like the fact that he is not able to actually constrain his own power.
Fair enough.
He has no filter. And he has no ability to actually understand that he walks around with ginormous fucking shoes and mm-hmm. just step on a lot of people.
Yes.
And so be fucking cool about that, man. So if you get that kind of power, it's a privilege, it's not a right. So, and you should be responsible with it. And I don't think he can handle himself.
Well, the problem here is and this is not you. This is just the situation that it's in.
Sure.
Okay. The problem with this is is when you're given so many opportunities. Okay. When you as a platform are given so many opportunities to.
You're talking about Musk or Twitter?
No, I'm talking about Twitter.
Okay.
When you've been informed so many times, look, you guys don't enforce your policies equally. Okay, you guys are. Look, let me put it to you this way. A lot of the truths that came out about COVID-19.
Sure.
Okay. Had people banned for posting about when it was happening. Yeah. And they called it disinformation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Well, here's the fact. You weren't the fucking supreme arbiters on what was right and wrong at any point. So what I'm pointing out here is this has been addressed. This has been said for years. People have complained. The answer has always been, well, if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Right.
So they kept getting opportunities to fix it, and they refused. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, they wanted to retain the power.
Well, yeah, and even when they had opportunities to ease up a little bit, right? They said, no, we're going to double down on it. And so fucking Paraj, that fucking idiot, decided he'd...
Paraj?
The guy who replaced Dorsey.
Right? Oh, okay, yeah.
So that fucking idiot decided, no, I'm going to ramp this up more.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the problem is there was an opportunity for the government to act, and how they do, I don't know. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know either, because none of that's actually governed by the FTC or...
There's the Section 230 thing. It's so nebulous that I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah, that one's weird.
All right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to touch that. But what I will say is you guys had so many opportunities to clean it up, to say, yes, this is where we're making mistakes. It is not our imperative to enforce what we consider to be valuable information.
Sure.
Okay? So when somebody steps in and says, all right, well, you think you're the top dog. My money says that you're not.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you can bitch and moan all you want, but if you'd cleaned it up, you wouldn't have this problem.
No, I understand your point.
Now, the problem I have with the Musk situation is this is sort of a Mother Teresa, Christopher Hitchens situation with Hell's Angel.
Christopher Hitchens. Oh, yeah, there's a guy I haven't thought about in a while.
All right. Well, so when it comes down to it, I can sit there and look and I can say, all right, so this woman established a lot of things around the globe. A lot of people got fed. A lot of people got medical care.
She did a lot of good.
But then when you look at the details of it,
I get that.
There's some really fucked up shit in there, right?
Yeah.
So I can look at the Musk situation and say, the fact that you just put everybody on notice, the fact that you had conversations within the past few weeks saying, number one, hey, do I need to establish a new social media system? Right? He's putting out polls. People are saying overwhelmingly yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He does have contact with
That's audience capture.
Well, so, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
All right. He says that there's an overwhelming yes. What that means, I think that a lot of that is like, oh, I was going to do it anyway, but let me just telegraph my moves here a little bit. There have been some ridiculous bannings in recent weeks, especially when they clamp down on things like the Babylon Bee. He happens to be in contact with the editors over there.
What is Babylon Bee?
Babylon Bee is like the right wing, The Onion. Okay, so it's just satire articles.
Oh, okay.
All right, and
the right wing onion.
Yeah, and it reads like a right wing onion. All right, but at the same, sometimes it's funny. Most of the time, it's like
articles on the Death Star.
it's exactly that kind of stuff. Right?
Yeah, okay.
So,
right.
Yeah, so they put out a headline that Twitter said, no, you're banned and you're not coming back until you delete this. Their little shtick where that one fucking goblin that works for Biden's administration.
Psaki?
No, the transgender.
I don't even know about this person.
It's a person that has a military position. I don't remember who it is, but if I showed you its picture, right, you'd be like, oh, I saw this. This is a publicity move, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so their little joke article was they awarded this person Man of the Year. Okay, yeah, I get it. It's kind of a tired joke, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, Twitter says, this is hateful. You don't come back till you delete.
Yeah, no, and see, that's all speaks to my point that Twitter just needs to be broken up in general.
Well, this is what I'm saying. If you can't police yourself, you can't get upset because if you refuse to acknowledge... I don't think
anybody in that sector can actually police themselves, man. That's why you need competing platforms.
Well, their whole argument has been from the beginning, if you don't like it, make your own Twitter. But it doesn't work.
I get that.
So fucking... Even the Beatles who think that they're that powerful, when Michael Jackson comes in and says, I'm going to buy your songs. All right. He did.
Yeah.
He bought his way on, and he's made it clear, like, this shit's going to change.
Yeah. I mean... I don't know. I guess there's a piece of me that would really like to see like Musk actually just do his own fucking thing. Especially if it's like linked to Starlink where you can actually shut it down because you don't have to like kowtow to Bezos and AWS and things like that. And so like, I'd rather have the competition there than him actually like fucking just, move in on that shit and actually impose his own will, because that doesn't leave the other side on it anymore either. I don't know. We'll have to see how it works. I might be wrong about this. So I'm going to like put that out there right now here on episode number 46. I might be wrong about this, but there's a thing about like Elon Musk in particular where he's got the touches of the megalomaniacal, megalomaniac kind of thing going on. So he kind of fancies himself like, 2022's, like Tony Stark kind of thing. And I'm not, I'm wary of that. Of course.
As am I.
Yeah.
But I can also sit there and say, like, you talk about fiscal responsibility.
Sure.
Okay. To me, that's exactly what this is. If the government doesn't have the cajones to go out there and look at this and say, this is problematic. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to say regulate speech. What I want to say is you can't stop speech. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. When I'm saying regulating, that doesn't mean that you get to block things and say, this is disinformation. Yeah. You don't get to tag all these things and say, this source has unreliable shit. It's like, fuck you. Well, that's not your judgment. That's not your call.
Like, I see Twitter as like the Netscape of earlier, where they were like the one, and then it fucking blew apart because other people figured out better ways to do it down the road. And so,
not really. I mean, the Netscape team is still alive.
I get that, but they're not where they were, back in the day. And, so you had all these other like competing kind of things out there. And then eventually you got to the point in time where you had a few ISPs who like, okay, fine. You search what you want to search.
Well, just browsers. That's what we're talking
Absolutely,
about.
Just browsers. Right. Yeah, you search what you want to search. We're not going to filter anything. We're not going to like block anything on that. You go find it, and it's totally fine. But that took like 10 years to get to that point in time. And Twitter really, like, when did it start to take off? Like 2008, 2012? Somewhere about that area?
It's been around for over 10 years. Yeah,
no, I get that.
But you're talking about when did it stop being like a dumb thing for kids?
Correct. When did it stop being cute?
Okay, so your question is, when did your mom get on Twitter?
Well, and that's what's happened to Facebook. Yeah.
Right.
So, and eventually you get better services out of it in the long run. And so, like, I see Elon Musk as kind of like putting fucking floats on the Titanic here, man. He should just go build his own, like, fucking Lusitania so the Germans can torpedo it later.
Yeah, okay. No, I understand that. The problem here is... So the problem here is that Twitter has become an institution to itself, right? Twitter is not Instagram. Twitter is not Facebook.
Old enough to actually like call it an institution just quite yet.
Yeah, but the internet, the internet is measured in dog years. Do you want me to write that down?
That's the episode title, man. The internet is measured in dog years. Have you been taking notes, man?
You want to just leave it at
that? That means Twitter is 72 years old.
In the course of our life, doesn't Facebook feel like it's about 109?
Yeah. It feels like it definitely needs some cyberpunk implants.
and they're trying to pivot that with this new like plug into VR crap.
Oh God, man! I'd almost be tempted to actually buy a VR set to play that game.
You know what is funny is my niece has one now, and I don't. And I'm struggling.
She got the Oculus, or
that's why they have a Facebook account.
Man, I don't want a Facebook account. Let's see. What are my other alternatives?
Well, you can get like an HTC Vive. You can. There's a couple of options out there.
Yeah, okay,
right. But like it's a one-time pricey investment, but.
It's like $600, right?
Depending on what you get, because I don't think that you're going to cheap out on it.
No, I get that. I'd get a good one. Yeah.
So,
Internet is measured in dog.
You want to stop? You want to? We can.
34.
All right, we're done. We can come back to it. We can wait.
We can wait until William's here on Friday.
Right, exactly. So that would be, we'll give it a full 14 days in internet years, and we'll see what develops here.
Yeah, we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
That works.
All right, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
See ya.